No, I'm not doing it.
The sound of leather boots crushed against gravel as three men closed in on the porch. Their jackets carried symbols of intimidation, their laughter heavy with cruelty. But the woman inside the house, clutching her phone in trembling hands, knew one thing they didn't. Her husband wasn't a man you pushed around, and in less than 3 minutes, those same men would be begging him for mercy. The quiet neighborhood sat under the afternoon sun, its tree-lined streets hiding an uglier truth. Behind one white picket fence stood a modest home where a young woman carefully watered her plants. She had always loved the rhythm of suburban life, the safety, the stillness, the hope that she and her husband had finally found a place where no one would bother them. But peace is fragile, and on that day, it shattered like glass. The engines came first, loud, angry roars of motorcycles rolling down the cul-de-sac, rattling windows and shaking the air. Three men swung off their bikes, swaggering toward the house with the arrogance of men who thought fear was their weapon. They weren't there by accident. They had been sent by the Homeowners Association. The HOA had been pushing her husband for months. Fines for trivial things, letters for made-up violations, harassment masked under official letterheads. And when intimidation through paper no longer worked, they decided to escalate. They hired muscle. The men leaned on the porch railing, pounding the door, their jeers echoing through the walls. "Tell your man the rules don't bend for anyone," one barked, his fist crashing against the wood. Inside, the woman's hands shook. She wasn't weak, far from it, but she knew what these men wanted: fear, silence, surrender. Instead, she picked up the phone. Her voice was low, urgent, but steady as she spoke a single sentence. "They're here." Miles away, her husband paused mid-conversation. The words sank into his chest like fire. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He simply replied, "I'm on my way." He wasn't just any man. He was a veteran, a soldier forged in places where survival was earned with grit and silence. Years of service had carved into him a discipline few could comprehend. He had seen deserts where the air itself could burn, heard the final breaths of men who would never return home, and carried scars that would never fade. The HOA thought they were dealing with a quiet neighbor, just another name on their list. They had no idea they had awakened a lion. As he drove home, his mind replayed the promises he had made, to his country, to his brothers in arms, but above all to his wife, the promise that no harm would ever reach her as long as he drew breath. Back at the house, the bikers pushed harder. One spat across the yard, sneering as he shouted threats. Another pulled a knife, carving a shallow line into the wooden door, a symbol of their control. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains but stayed silent. Fear kept them rooted, complicit in the cruelty unfolding before them. And then, the sound. A car screeched to a halt. The air shifted. The men turned, confused, as a figure stepped out with calm precision. No panic, no raised voice. Just the kind of silence that makes even the boldest men hesitate. He walked forward, his eyes locked on them, his steps steady as if the earth itself carried him. The bikers laughed at first, mistaking calm for weakness. One swaggered toward him, blade still in hand. But within seconds, the laughter cracked. The veteran moved with a speed they couldn't match, disarming the man before he even realized what happened. The knife clattered to the ground, and the biker's knees followed. The others tried to press forward, but the weight of his presence alone stopped them cold. His voice, when it finally came, was measured, low, and sharp as steel. "You came to my house. You threatened my wife. You have 3 seconds to walk away. Or you stay here, on the ground." Silence. Not the silence of calm suburbs, but the silence of fear. The kind of silence that made the strongest thugs remember they were just men after all. They dropped their bravado. One stammered an apology, another muttered promises it would never happen again. Their voices cracked as they begged for the mercy they had thought they'd never need. The neighborhood changed that day. Curtains pulled back, eyes wide with a respect that had been absent before. For the first time, the truth was visible. The quiet man down the street wasn't just another face in the crowd. He was a shield, forged in fire, unbreakable in silence. And as he held his wife close, he spoke a line that neighbors whispered long after. Strength doesn't shout, it protects, and it never forgets who it's sworn to defend. Evil doesn't always come in the form of grand battles. Sometimes it shows up in broad daylight, knocking at the door of innocence. But strength, the real kind, doesn't need noise, threats, or pride. It only needs resolve.